The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
I think he heard. He's going to reset.
He heard us talking trash.
Heard you was talking shit. You about to get hit.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. My name is JD, and joining me are my two good friends, Kyle.
Me.
And Matt.
Me.
And we've got kind of a special show for you today. We want to thank Rock Salt Releasing for reaching out to us because they sent us a screener of their upcoming movie, Lava. Now, Lava is from what I can tell, an Argentinian film that they are bringing here to America, dubbing it. Stars Janine Garofalo. But yeah, it was just really nice of them. They just reached out to me and be like, "Hey, do you want to review our movie?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not? That sounds like fun." So it was nice of them to give us an early access to this movie. That being said, this movie is really weird. Is probably the nicest way to put it.
It's a pretty fucking strange movie.
Yeah.
Trying to do research on who the director, the director and co-writer of the movie is. I hope I'm saying it right. Ir Blasco. And like you said, it's Argentinian filmmaker. He's been working on. Well, I think he got to start out in doing like comics and fanzines and stuff, but he's been working like in doing animation since like the early 2000s. In 2001, he was art director on a series and a resulting movie called Mercano El Marciano, which I think his translation is Mercano the Martian. He did his first feature length movie, or directed and co-written one called El Sol, which is the sun, in 2012. And then he co-wrote and directed a live action movie that came out in 2020 called La Vagancia, which I think translates to The Laziness. But yeah, so he's been doing like animation for a long time. His medium of choice is flash animation, which you could definitely tell in this movie. It's legit. Got that.
I was gonna say, like, the second this movie came on, and I'm like, man, this definitely looks like someone's mid-2000 Newgrounds cartoons. It looks and sounds like someone's Newgrounds cartoon.
It reminded me a lot of fucking, like mid-2000s webtoons and stuff, which is not entirely a knock against it. It's just that if you would have told me that this movie didn't come out because I think this movie actually came out in 2019 and it's just getting the dub this year. Right. But if you told me this movie was originally released like in 2005, like I would have believed you. Like, oh yeah, other than everyone with like smartphones and that type of thing in the movie. But yeah, it's a fucking strange ass movie. But it's like, I can appreciate that the animator is kind of like has his sort of niche that he works within. I was reading some interviews with him, and he's just kind of talking about how like he just kind of makes movies just for the sake of making movies. Like he's not trying. And I think in the hindsight of what I read, it kind of makes the content of this movie make sense. Yeah, because it is very nonsensical, and in the times where it's not, where it is trying to have like a narrative, it's not quite consistent. But it's more about just, I guess, the entertainment value, which to say like there are parts of this movie that I felt were entertaining, but in just how bizarre it could get. I don't believe that, because one of the movies I mentioned earlier, El Sol, I believe that one he was working on for like 5 years, because I believe he did the whole movie himself. Oh damn. For this one, I read an interview. I think he said there was 17 animators that worked on it, and even with how simple the style is, because like the faces and like it's a very sort of simple like line style. Like the face is very simple and it's bright colors and everything. Right. You could tell that there was a team of people that worked on this, because with how simple the style was, you could tell like there was other people doing their take on it. Like the style was not consistent between the whole thing. I looked up little clips of El Sol on, I think the whole movie's on YouTube, but I kind of skimmed through it, and it's way more consistent there because I believe it's just him doing the whole movie. And then in this, it's just there's a bunch of people working within his style. So
Right. Yeah, I'm yeah, man, I'm glad you did that. I did not have the I had no idea what the director was like or anything.
I had to find a lot of web pages and put them through a translator.
Sure. Yeah, we are dealing with a director from South America and
an independent one at that. So there's a lot
Right.
of the information is going to be not on the American side of the internet.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie it has a plot. It is very nonsensical and it's going about that plot. I mean, the gist of it is that like it revolves around
Technology bad.
technology bad is like the baseline of this, but
Technology bad, but tattoos good.
yeah, so it's like it centers around Janine Garofalo's character Deborah, who is a tattoo artist, and one day, like while she has a bunch of friends over, this like weird broadcast comes over like every technological device and like starts hypnotizing people, and it turns out that like this, I guess this alien force is invading Earth and hypnotizing people through screens because they've like gained access to our technology. But the only way to combat it is through fanzines because it's an independent media and doesn't have like corporate control over it. So I guess the aliens can't use it.
It's screenless. So
And then-
can't use it.
Yeah.
And then there's something about like the world snake from Norse mythology that doesn't really get too expanded upon, but
Yeah, even though they showed it a number of times. There's the fucking... Well, I guess there's more than one snake. There's a snake that shows up once the like invasion's happening. There's like a bunch of cats that show up, and there's the giant snake. And then there's like... That snake like Well, I guess I'm getting a bit ahead of ourselves because fucking... I don't really... It's an invasion movie. There's
Yeah,
fucking... there's
it is an alien invasion movie, except all of the aliens are like giant cats. There's a giant snake. There's a big cartoon witch. There's a vulture at one point.
Yeah.
And it's never really explained why these aliens like I'm guessing appear in these forms. I don't know.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's all the stuff that's happening once the invasion starts. It's all stuff that's, I guess, predicted in a fanzine called Lava, which is the title of the movie.
Right.
And I think the fanzine's called Lava, but also the organization that is fighting against the invasion's also called Lava, I think. Or something like that.
I thought Lava was a dude. Like Lava was the name of the artist or whatever.
Was it?
But I guess also the organization. I don't know. It was really hard to kind of like keep track of what was going on in this movie.
I can't remember if we already mentioned, but this is an Argentinian film, so the version that we watched is a dub with like Janine Garofalo and like other voice actors. She's like the only like big name that they had attached to it.
Yeah, I didn't know any of the other actors in this.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to pick it apart too badly just because I was telling Kyle this before we recorded. I'm not sure exactly if maybe just some stuff might have been lost in translation or localization because I know that it can happen. I'm not sure if maybe like I would be interested in rewatching this movie in its original voice audio of like with subs just to kind of see like if anything changed or if it is just as nonsensical. Like I imagine there's still a bit of it that's pretty nonsensical and not consistent and stuff, but I would like to see exactly how much of it potentially got changed.
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, like the nonsense story is one thing, but I think it's kind of exacerbated by. Like, when I say that this reminds me of a 2000s Newgrounds cartoon, like, I mean that in almost every sense. Like, I think what bothered me even more is that the acting isn't great, and it all sounds like it was filmed over a Zoom. Like, it doesn't have like the like. I think this is very clearly done by smaller actors at home, because the mic quality for a lot of them is not great.
Yeah, I think they even show that in the dub credits, because it shows that Janine Garofalo was recorded in one location, everyone else was recorded in another.
But I mean, Janine Garofalo, I think, like, I know, because she's like a professional actor and all that. So like, obviously she's probably the best part of this movie, but I don't, like I said, I'm not familiar with anybody else in this movie. But the acting is very, like, kind of stiff. I don't know. And I'm at a point in my life where I kind of expect a little more out of dubbing from different languages, like making an attempt to like sync up the lips a little bit, maybe like jumble around the dialogue a little bit to make that fit. But there's plenty of times in this where the English actor's line is keep going, but the character's mouth has stopped moving, or like stops moving mid-sentence. It's very strange to watch, but I also have to like remind myself that this is like a smaller budget, like independent kind of thing. So it's like, how much of that is like because of the budget for this, or what? But so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, you know, it's the mouths are timed to a completely, you know, other language.
Yeah.
So you know, I can't blame it too much for that. But yeah, the performances from the dub actors is definitely something worth critiquing. It's just not very it's very unenergetic, and even when it is, it's just very grating, I guess. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't big on Samuel's.
I was going to say Samuel is probably the worst part, is because he has like this really like breathy voice. Like it like everyone else seems like they're just kind of like the actor is just kind of talking in the normal voice, but Samuel actually sounds like he's doing a voice. But it just still sounds really weird.
Yeah. And then shit, what do you want to bring up? There's a couple of like meta moments in this movie that I know Kyle was a very big fan of.
Oh, they're all right.
So what happened, Kyle?
They jumped off a roof, and then it shows them die, like in a horrible explosion of just blood and guts. And then the next scene is them running, and they're like, "Man, great thing we're animated." It's like, it's a great joke, but after pulling out a big gun like that, it's like, why worry about the characters after something like that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
it's just, the stakes are no longer like high.
Well, that's the thing. This is an invasion movie where, you know, it's pretty much a survival movie, but if you're not worried that the characters can die or not, it doesn't matter. It takes away from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, the characters do die, but it's like there's a main like 4 characters that like you don't really have to worry about them getting hurt, because like you said, they like jumped off a building and exploded and they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but part of me was wondering if it was just like when that scene happened, like when they jumped out the building and they fucking exploded on the ground, I was like, oh, okay, the next scene is gonna be like Deborah is like imagining what happened if they jumped out the building.
The Simpsons did a joke like that is just fucking brilliant. They show Homer like falling asleep at the wheel, and Marge is like, "Hey, you need to pull over." And he's like, "No, I'm fine." And then it shows the same car like swerving and then hit a tree and explode. And then they're looking up from a motel going, man, I'm glad I stopped there. It's something like that's really fucking funny, but like that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I thought the joke was going. I thought they showed like the characters fall from the sky and like explode, and I thought they were gonna like pan over next to it, and I'm like, well, glad we landed on this. But yeah,
or it could have been like three other characters like wearing the same clothes or something that also jumped. Yeah, like they could have taken it in so many other directions and it would have been funny. But like with the way that they approached this, it completely took out like any sort of tension like in the characters potentially dying or anything.
Yeah, and they have another moment of like just deliberate fourth wall breaking. It's like we're like Samuel like stops the movie to like talk about how woke the movie is.
About the heavy bisexual romantic talk as adults for an animation.
Like, look, this may be a movie, but we could take a time to like talk about this. And I'm like,
no, he's talking. This is specifically an animation, as if there aren't like a million different animations that deal with like adult themes like this now. Like, like I said, if this would have been like back in 2005, which the movie looks like it was made in, like, you know, maybe it might have a point. But now adult animation is in such a point where it's like it's covered like a lot of this type of shit already.
Yeah, but like another thing is like that also kind of ties into another thing where there's several points in this movie where the characters spend an extended amount of time trying to like parse out relationships, like who likes who, and I think Deborah cheated on her friend with her boyfriend, I think. But then Deborah and her friend might also be lesbians. But there's just a lot of time devoted to like characters wanting to get with other characters, but it like stops the movie dead to do this.
But then there's no payoff because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert! This movie ends on a cliffhanger. Nothing really goes anywhere. It just kind of goes. It is some weird action bits, and then it ends.
Talking about things that don't go anywhere. Can we address the racist caricature in the room?
The Asian girl.
Yeah, the Chinese girl. Like, she fucking. There's a scene in this movie where our main characters are like end up in a larger group of, like, they're on a bus, and this bus gets like attacked by a snake, and like all these people start to congregate together, and like they're in this big group, and it goes into like a smaller group. They end up holding inside of a building, and they've got like their special mail order gun that's supposed to be good against these like invaders and stuff. And this like she's just, it's like when you imagine like what a racist caricature of like a Chinese woman looks like, that's just what this girl looks like in this movie. And it's just, it took me back. I'm like, oh my God, this, and I don't know, man. It's like one of those things where it's like, it's an Argentinian movie, so I guess maybe they're not like, well, because that's the other thing too. There's just like straight up like Spider-Man and like Mickey Mouse and like Bugs Bunny and stuff in here.
Oh yeah, there's like just a lot of like real world stuff in here.
They don't give a shit about being PC or like not getting sued over shit over there, I guess, because like,
I mean, I'm gonna say probably the thing that made me laugh the most was towards the beginning of this movie where like Deborah and her friend are having these two guys over, and they're watching like this, I guess, vegetable themed Game of Thrones or whatever.
It was a Game of Clones, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, hey, what are we watching this on? And Deborah's like, oh no, we watch these on illegal streams. And they fucking show the laptop they're working off of, and she like pulls up a window. There's all these VLC, all these VLC files.
That was funny to me. I did enjoy that because it's like, who hasn't been there?
And what kills me is that when they're watching the show, they have the laptop next to the TV mirroring like what's up on the screen. So it's like they have two versions of it playing at the same time. And I'm like, damn, like, yeah, like Matt said, I think we've all done this.
It's relatable. Like fucking. Yeah, I've done that. I was technically doing that when I watched this movie. I tried to AirPlay it from my phone and it wasn't working, so I fucking plugged my laptop into my television. I just had it running like.
But yeah, that part actually did make me laugh.
But yeah, just to circle back to that character I was talking about, she shows up and she's like very capable. She's kicking a lot of ass, but then like she just kind of fucks off. Like once like they pass a convenience store and she's just like, nah, never mind, fuck you guys. I'm doing my own thing. And then like she doesn't show up for the rest of the movie.
Well, even when she's there, it's really weird because then she's
I don't think she has a name.
Yeah, I don't know if they said her name or anything, but she like starts making accusations about like the main four, and she's like, how do you know any of this? Is like, I hear things.
That was like, that meta scene that we were talking about earlier. That was her. She instigated that.
Yeah, she's like, you like her. You guys have been flirting this whole time, and you cheated. She cheated on with your boyfriend. And I'm like, how do you know any of this? You just met these people.
Like it could have been worse. That the dub actress for that character could have done a fucking. Like a bad voice for it too. Luckily they did not. Like it's just
you know what? I was honestly sitting there and I'm like,
I was worried.
You know, this is like just like a stereotype voice away from being like just full blown offensive.
Yeah. It was something else, man. Yeah, this movie's it's fucking weird.
Yeah. Kyle, did you have some words for this movie?
No, I was just saying that it just reminds me of the comics that I would draw in middle school, where you would think that they're the funniest thing ever, and then looking back on it, it's like, what was I thinking?
I have binders full of middle school comics. I could probably say the same thing about.
That's what it reminded me of. No, I really like the art style. At least it reminded me of like Lauren Bouchard's really early work, like Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil, and stuff like that. Reminds me of like cool indie cartoons, but yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, the overall style of it is I do like the style of it. It's just the way that it's animated just is I'm not like huge on, and that paired with like just everything else, the story and everything, like it doesn't make for quite like a good overall, product.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I could forgive maybe some of the movie's failings if it had a proper ending. I think that because the movie gets to a point where like Deborah is off on her own because she meets up with the lava group, and they're like trying to form a team of people to like make a fanzine. But it turns out that they're working with the aliens or something. So Deborah,
or they're different invaders or something like that.
Yeah, like they're all invaders, but they're like doing different methods, but ultimately working towards the same goal. But Deborah like goes off on her own because a voice in her head tells her to, I guess. Which there is a part in the movie, or about midway through the movie, where their friend, I think his name is Lorenzo or something like that.
Lazaro,
thank you. He starts hearing a voice in his head, but it is so goddamn loud and like muffled. I
think that's because it's that every time that voice pops up, there's a diving suit on screen.
I mean, I got that eventually, but it originally threw me off when the voice first showed up because I thought it was someone had recorded over the dialogue and it was like an accident.
Right.
Because it was so loud and
at least they had the contextual reason for that.
Right.
But it did take me off guard at first too.
Jesus Christ, that was loud. But yeah, the same voice, like a similar voice, appears to Deborah at the end, and she like goes off to find the world tree that the giant world snake is inside. That like people are tattooing, and then they're broadcasting the images that people tattoo on this giant snake, and that hypnotizes people. I guess what I could say from that is that if any of this sounds even remotely interesting to you, this movie is definitely one of those, like, this needs to be seen to fully believe.
I don't know that
yeah.
we're necessarily like doing it any favors, but or also any justice in just how weird it is. Like, it's definitely worth checking out at the very least. Just in that regard.
If you just like weird animation, then I guess I could suggest this. Just know that it is a dub of a South American cartoon. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. There are some interesting concepts in here that like I would have liked to kind of see go further, and like maybe if there is a second part to this movie later down the line, maybe would want to check that out. But like, yeah, all I could say is like if any of this like is intriguing you, by all means go check it out.
And where can they check it out?
Okay, so if you would like to watch this movie, like I said, we did get this as a screener, and are being allowed to review this a little ahead of time. This will be available March 15th, pretty much on every streaming platform that you rent movies from. They've got like Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, Vimeo on demand, your TV on demand services. So if you'd like to watch this, it'll be out next week, and you can get it pretty much anywhere where you rent your movies online. But yeah, Lava is a very strange, interesting movie. I would have never even heard of this movie had Rock Salt not reached out to us. So thank you for at least giving us this opportunity to at least see something different. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good to, take a break every now and then and, like, kind of get to watch some of the more, indie sort of offerings out there. Because, we predominantly cover, like, a lot of...
mainstream stuff.
A lot of mainstream stuff, a lot of known stuff on here. So it is cool to kind of step outside of that bubble, every once in a while to kind of see, like, animation in other parts of the world and stuff. So it's interesting in that regard, for sure.
Yeah. And if there anyone else out there, if you are wanting reviews for your new releases or whatever, feel free to shoot us a message. If it looks interesting, we're always happy to take a look at different things, new art, all that stuff. So if there's any other companies out there that would like to take a look at their stuff, I mean, we're more than happy to. So, again, thank you to Rock Salt Releasing for sending us a screener for this. Really appreciate that. And I hope that people will check out Lava and, judge it for themselves. And, hopefully this can lead to, more independent animation from around the world kind of making its way stateside. So, yeah.
And if you end up watching the movie, be sure to hit us up on our Facebook, Twitter, Discord, any of those places where we can discuss any things that we're currently reviewing or reviewed in the past. If we can have a little discussion on that. Yeah,
good stuff. Kyle, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we go?
No, I'm good.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you're all staying safe out there, and we will be back again next week with a new episode of something. I don't know, but we'll see you then.
Later.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. You can also jump in our Discord to keep up with the conversation. The Ink and Paint Club podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Links, as always, are in the description. We'll see you next time.